For the sake of this story, I'll change his name to Jay. But the story needs to be told nonetheless, because all too often this occurs and it's not discussed. And people need to be aware of the problems that often plague individuals when they come home from prison. Not just mental health, but addiction. This individual's name was Jay, and I was on a lower level camp. I had finally made my way down to single digits after a long stretch already in confinement. Jay was a good dude, and he was somebody that I would play chess with. He was also somebody that was battling cancer, and he was fighting every day. And I want to tell you something. To fight cancer while incarcerated, to go through chemo treatments without just being able to be around your family or in an environment where it's set up for you to be cared for is extremely hard and difficult. But Jay had good support. He had good family. He had people that were there for him. And guys liked him at the prison. And they would take care of him when he was down sick, medication was bothering him, etc. Also, some of his homeboys would take care of him in any ways or other ways. And what they would do is they would bring him basically called strips. And strips or Suboxone strips or something that, at least while I was incarcerated and probably still, were something that were often used by individuals that were incarcerated to escape reality, to get high, to leave prison, so to say. And I don't know, maybe he started that habit because he was in pain. Maybe he started that habit because I can only imagine mentally what you would be going through battling cancer while incarcerated. I'm not here to judge him. I'm just here to tell the story. The addiction grew, and one strip became two became three, etc. From what I could see, because again, this is an individual that I would play chess with, and oftentimes I would say to him, bro, you're about to go home, which he was. I was currently serving as a mentor, if you will, in the Go Home pod, the reentry pod, which means everybody in that pod, with the exception of me and one other mentor, had 6 months or less. And while in that pod, it was a good thing to see brothers going home, but it was also a scary thing because oftentimes you would see individuals go right back or come right back into the prison walls. But Jay, I did not think was coming back. I felt like he could shake whatever he was fighting at the time, including his sickness. And sure enough, before he was getting ready to go home, about 2 months before he was getting ready to go home, word had got back that he was cleared. They had did surgery, treated the cancer, and it was removed. But Jay's addiction continued to increase. I want to also say things like this. He was blessed in the sense that he had won not one but 2 lawsuits based on how correctional officers were treating him. One officer threw a milk at him while he was on his way to a chemo treatment in the van because the officer got frustrated by the questions he asked, and he won a decent amount of money from that, from what he told me and from what I heard the officer saying. And then he won another lawsuit when he was on the way to treatment for chemo to battle the cancer, when the van that he was getting transported in got hit by the van, and he had more money. I'm only saying this because he had every opportunity in the world to be successful once he went home. But what happened was the addiction that he had on the inside followed him on the outside. And it was not even a week and a half later before one of his closer friends on the inside started to tell us that Jay, after he went home, had passed away. Jay went home cancer-free, with money in his pocket, family foundation, but he also had addiction. And when he went home, he started partying immediately. He didn't have the type of friends around him to say, hey, bro, you got to chill. You just got home. Don't get into that. Da-da. No, he had the type of friends that said, oh, you got money. You just came home. Let's party. Let's get into that. And that's what happened. And one day, because the news story came out later after the fact, basically what happened was Jay was in a vehicle with his friends, decided to use, and he overdosed from fentanyl. And instead of them calling 911 or trying to get him help, they kicked him out the car and rolled his body into the woods at the forest preserve near their homes where they were chilling or partying because they were scared. This is what happened to Jay when he went home. This is what happens to individuals more often than you think. When people come home from prison, they're sometimes still battling, and a lot of times still battling mental health disorders, addiction, and more. And if the help is not there, It's very hard for an individual to succeed. This story is sad, this story is tragic because he lost his life after surviving cancer and prison. But it needed to be told. Stay free.